Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 3. My name is Az, and I'm joined by the mighty Luke Williams. How you doing, Luke?
That's a fabulous intro. Thanks, mate. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very well. Yeah, I'm good. I'm surrounded by boxes and things. The room is an absolute state. The house is even worse, ready for the move down to Brighton in a few weeks. But yeah, otherwise feeling pretty good. Pretty good about things.
We're really happy for a stressful period in your life, so it must
Yeah.
be going well.
I mean, FPL isn't going great.
We're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, it's fine. As we see in a minute, when we look at the great and the good and some of the other top managers or other top managers, forget about the other. You'll see we're not in too bad company. Thanks everyone for joining us. Good to see you all. Let us know how you got on in Game Week 2 and what your plans are. Mr. Mark Southerns is in the chat. Thank you very much. Anyone who notices Luke's new sound will hear Mark's old microphone. So it's like we've got a bit of Mark still with us. We just can't get rid of him, can we?
Carrying on, the spirit of Mark is within me.
The ghost of Mark.
Hopefully I can
Shaw Mike.
absorb his FPL skills as well, because it's not been a great start.
Well, Mark's already made some transfers. He's already taken the hit.
He is a true maverick at heart.
He is.
Everyone used to say I was the maverick, but Mark was right there. He was just better at it than me.
I know. Now I'm stuck with Andy, who's got the same team as me, and you, who Mr. Robot himself.
That's
so,
me, yeah.
What's going on? Loads to talk about today. We have got data, so if anyone wants to see any player data or defense, midfield, attack, I've got all that stuff. We're probably not going to focus on that, especially not with you, Luke, because you're Mr. It's not a big enough sample size.
Yeah, just
we need
skip
robust data.
all
Yeah, all of that. So we're going to focus more on gut feel. That's what it's all about today. Vibes, eye test, all that stuff, because that's all we've got to go on.
That's always still there. I can bring that to the surface, don't worry. Just constantly pushing it back.
Yeah. So we've got some big players to talk about. Some players doing well, others not doing so well. We've got injuries to contend with. We've got games going on tonight. A few surprising inclusions in some of the lineups. I know Cunha's playing for Manchester United. I don't think too many of us were expecting that. Yes, J77 Lag, there is indeed a spider with the... Speaking of which, we'll be having our first match of the day challenge after the international break. It'll be Andy and I doing a bit of a trial run, and then hopefully, Luke, you can join us on the next one. We all know how those normally go. Thank you for the super chat, Sonny. We will take that at the end of the stream. I've pinned it. We'll make sure we do that. And before we look at our teams, I just want to give a shout out to our wonderful graphic designer. I know he's had a few shout outs on the streams so far. For those of you who are new, who've watched BlackBox before, you'll hopefully notice we've had a bit of a makeover this time out, and we've got Trevor Thompson to thank for that. He's absolutely brilliant. He spent a lot of time listening to my weird requests and sending me different ideas and all these many things to create something which I think is really cool. I think what I liked about it was he started with the same thing that I tell a lot of people who ask me. I don't know why they're asking me, but content creation. What do I need to do? What are your main tips? It's always about standing out. What makes you different? And that's the first thing he kind of focuses on. Work with me to go. Okay, what makes BlackBox unique? Let's build a design sort of around that as well. And he really worked to create something that he thought kind of fit the BlackBox ethos. And hopefully we've done that in abundance. So a massive thank you to Trevor. I will say that when I asked him for a few things to sort of put on these streams, he wanted to focus on obviously the fact that he brings out what he thinks is the main things on the channel, and the fact that he genuinely cares about all the work that he does, and that really kind of shines through in all the email exchanges and communication and everything that we had. So big shout out to Trevor Thompson. If any of you are looking for a graphic designer, send him an email, Trevor Thompson, that's Thompson with a H, THOMPSON, trevorthompsondesigner@gmail.com, and I'm sure he will do a wonderful job for you. Right, let's have a look at Game Week 2 points. I think we'll start with you first, Luke, because you were bottom of the pile out of the three of us. 42 points, benched your 2 top scoring players.
I did.
Excellent stuff.
And the comments range from, why are you crazy enough to have 3 Spurs players, to, if you've got 3 Spurs players, you have to play them versus Man City.
Obviously, yeah. It was so obvious they were going to get that clean sheet. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I know they're one of their bogey teams, but I think it's like the last 6, it's like 50-50 each way. I was never going to play them, but typically they go and perform as well as that. And we know what happens this week, right? When I play all 3 of them versus Bournemouth, that goal's finally coming. I am happy about having them, though, because I think they've been... I mean, to go from being probably objectively one of the worst defences last season to then looking, at least initially, like they're probably one of the better ones. I know they've had the manager change, but a lot of people have, struggled to sort of make that transition and think that can't possibly be the case because the players are largely the same, right? But so far the signs are good, so I'm happy to have gone there. But yeah, reading out my team, 42 points, not great. I don't think it was great for many of us this week, especially those who didn't have João Pedro. So Dubravka, 6, Esteve 6, Murillo 1, Anderson 4.
No, don't call him that.
Sorry, Steve, Electric Steve with the 6.
Thank
Murillo
you.
with the 1. That's like disappointing. He's like, we got him for the DEFCONs and he can't even do that apparently. So that's a bit disappointing. Anderson with the 4. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, he's like the epitome of the DEFCON pick at the moment. I suppose Tarkowski actually is really, but Anderson for the 4.5. I think him and Senesi are showing what their value can be already. Porro with 5. That was surprising. He was on my bench, but he came in for Palmer. And then I've obviously got Wirtz, Bruno, Reinders, all with the 2s across the board. Salah with a jammy assist right in, was it like the 98th minute or whatever? The guy's like, just can't blank. Like last season, I didn't have him for a lot of that. I know you didn't either. And it just always seemed to happen in like the last 10 minutes. Normally you throw in like a penalty and like another goal on top as well, just to rub it in. But, it's nice to be on the receiving end of that for once. Mateta and Strand Larsen, both with the 2 as well. Like the forwards just not scoring me any points at all. But, I'm still like pretty happy with the team. It's just the points have just been bad.
Yeah. We need to talk about the pronunciation of Wirtz.
Wirtz.
Well, I listened to the pronunciation and he does say Wirtz. But when I was calling him Wirtz last week, there was about 6 comments on the stream telling me that I'm like some pretentious like prick for saying it. So I think, shall we settle on Wirtz? I think that seems like a nice...
Florian?
Flo. He's bloody useless. I hope we don't talk about him too much. Are you panicking? I mean, you're 5.3 million in the world. You're, like I said, in good company with lots of other people. It wasn't a great week, but you look at this team, you're genuinely happy with it. No major surgery.
I almost want to get that Bane meme where he's like, "I'm born in the mud." Like I'm used to this shit. Like this happens
born
to me.
In the mud.
This happens all the time. Like I'm raised down here, man. My players didn't get any points last season regularly, so this is like water off a duck's back. Like, to be honest, I'm not panicking. Obviously, I'd love to have the points. Like, who wouldn't, right? That is the game at the end of the day. Points are more fun. Like, FPL tell you that themselves.
Here we go.
So,
Here we go.
Yeah, so it's not fun not having the points. But I still don't think my team's, like, that bad overall. Like, I don't really have... And I suppose we're going to get onto it as we keep talking. It's still, like, about where else would I go? The sample's still small. I picked these players for a reason. I've picked them for a set amount of games. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater on a lot of them. Like, don't get me wrong, there's players where I think I was on the edge anyway, right? So they're always the ones when you pick them and you finally decide to go with that. If they don't perform in the first 2 weeks, they're straight away on your mind thinking, I didn't know I ever wanted that player or not. So Florian is definitely one of those that I was like, not sure if he's going to score enough points. He's going to be an FPL pick. So I'm not sure he's going to score enough. And already from those 2 games, you start to get twitchy feet.
Yeah.
And he's obviously going down in price as well, which I know I usually struggle with that. I don't know how you feel. I know... Like Mark, for example, has already made the moves, hasn't he? And usually I would do that because I like to build up the money. But this season I've told myself, like, I'm not going to look at the price changes. It's mainly to do with the fact the FPL statistics are just taking their site down and I can't be bothered to use another site. So it's like, I'm just going to let that roll and pretend that it's like a different play style for me this season and I'm just going to wait. But it's also like we've got games tonight. We had games yesterday. We've obviously got the transfer window coming up as well. You've got the international break. Players could get injured on that.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't feel... right, yeah. Maybe there's a few exceptions as we're going to go through where I think maybe you can make the move, but for now, I'm going to sit tight and see what happens. I mean, Florian's got 2 great games after this week, hasn't he? And it'd be sod's law as well. He manages to score points against Arsenal after looking terrible, so not panicking yet.
Yeah, I mean something like Wirtz versus Ekatike has been a colossal,
brutal,
brutal thing. But then other 50-50 decisions, Watkins versus Fernandez, Murillo versus Milenkovic. There's lots of other 50-50 calls which haven't really made much difference. I mean Mateta, Strand Larsen, obviously Wood and Pedro are now clear, but out of those 2, there wasn't a lot of difference between them. I mean, you didn't have either Wood or Pedro for either of their hauls, so that probably explains why you're a bit further down. I mean, very much, if we come over to my team, it was just Pedro bailing me out this week with the 15 points, 48 for me. Sells in goal, Milenkovic, the Forest double up has not worked, shall we say. 8 Nori going off after 20 minutes. I know. Burnley kept the clean sheet, and luckily I got Porro off the bench because I favoured... I got Steve off the bench, which was lucky because I actually favoured Porro over that. Verts with the 2, Salah with the 10, Reinders with 2. Mark Gu somehow made an appearance in my team as well because bloody Rutter didn't turn up against Everton, and then we got absolutely spanked by them anyway to 2-0. And Watkins has been a massive disappointment. So yeah, it's been a rough start to the season. There's players in my team who I'm not too happy with, but I mean it's really just Verts and Watkins, I guess. The rest of them are okay. The double Forest defence might be a bit of a problem. I mean, I'm looking at like Lacroix and Tarkowski and Anderson and Senesi, like you said, and thinking, God damn it, should we just be targeting those?
Well, it's the players that have scored
defenders?
points. It doesn't matter who you are. It's like you look at the players that have scored points and you think, really, I should have got them. And yeah, they do look at good options. We just got to be quite careful, haven't we? Like, you've got to assess every single one on an individual basis. Is this player going to continue to score points? Obviously, none of us truly know the answer, but there's usually some better signal for others, for some rather than others, right? I mean, I don't think... Is it Ballard from Sunderland's going to be banging in 17-pointers every week?
He went off after about 3 minutes, didn't he, in the last game?
Yeah, so trying to distinguish between them, I guess.
Yep. Great and the good, like I mentioned, Greyhead's being very kind to me. He keeps putting me top of this list, which is very nice. The fact I'm top of this list after 2 game weeks with a rank of 3.8 million, I think tells you a lot about how a lot of people have started this season. Amazingly, I'm level with Andy North, Mark Southerns, and FPL Harry, all on completely the same points, exactly the same rank. Mark went for a Saka captain. Pretty much everyone else in the league went for Salah. There was a couple of Sakas from like Fabio Borges, Tom Freeman, but mostly it was Salah. Mr. Luke Williams is halfway down the table, but there's probably about 5 points between us, and that's about 1.2 million rank, something like that.
So we're just all terrible so far, really, aren't we? Let's be honest, it's all gone pretty badly.
That is pretty much it. Shout out to Lego Mane _FPL, who does the great hop on hop off stuff. I thought this one was interesting today because obviously we've got the cup games that are going on. We'll keep you updated with the scores of those. Brighton are playing against Oxford. We've put out a really, really young experimental team. So yeah, you can see how we get on in that. After the international break, though, we come into game week 4, and then it's some of the first European matches. So it's the Champions League teams. What I thought interesting was Liverpool. They've got Burnley and Everton, and they've got a European game sandwiched in between those. Any risk of a Salah, Verts, Ekatike benching in either of those?
Well, what do you think?
Well, I'd say no, but Burnley... They're going to feel like they can beat Burnley, can't they, without like a Gakpo? If they sign Isak, might be a perfect opportunity to put Ekatike on the left and give Gakpo a benching, or rest Ekatike. I don't know, might see a couple.
Yeah, I suppose you can never rule it out because, again, we're just so soon. But I just think at this stage of the season, it's more about trying to find the rhythm and get the players playing well. I mean, in particular in Liverpool's case, they haven't looked like they've been firing particularly well, in all of the games, including the Community Shield, I guess. They haven't really looked up to full speed, have they? So, I don't know, I can't really see that. I mean, maybe you might get results-led subs in terms of, like, say they're 4-0 up against Burnley. Gakpo probably comes off 20 minutes early or something like that. But I think that's all it is for now. But, with some more signings and a little bit further forward, maybe we start to see that some more. I mean, we know the position slots like to rotate in. It looks like the fullbacks, but... given the injury for the right back at the moment, Frimpong, he's probably all right, Conor Bradley there, but I think left back's going to be, that's where you're probably going to see Kirkes and Robertson do some switching around, I guess.
Yep. Tanjiro says very accurately in the chat, impossible to say until the fixtures come out, depends if they're playing Madrid or Bate Borisov.
And we said that just before we come on as well. It makes a big difference, doesn't it? That could easily be the rotation game, the Champions League game. Sad state of affairs that the Champions League games could be far easier than the Premier League, but
I know.
It's just the way it is.
Yep. Interestingly, between game week, 5 and 6, that's when we see some of the Europa games. Forest have got 2 incredible games in 5 and 6 against Burnley and Sunderland, and then they have that game sort of in the middle. So again, you'd maybe expect maybe a little bit of rotation in that. Douglas Luiz maybe coming in. What does that mean for Anderson? They've got options in attack, but I think the message from me anyway is not to worry too much about it. There's little control we're going to have, and it's like you said, it's early in the season. It's probably going to be a case of building chemistry, and we've already seen with Palace, haven't we? They put a very strong team out in that Europa League conference game.
Yeah, I think the teams have built the squads for good reasons, but it's because they know the injuries will come, the fatigue will come, the games will come thick and fast. But it's probably just a bit soon to worry about it. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. In terms of the fixtures that are coming, this is the fixture ticker from Scout. We're talking about Watkins. We're talking about him in a bit, but Villa are top of the ticker over the next 6. 2 not great looking games against Palace and Everton away. I was so impressed with Everton's new stadium and the fans and the backing and everything. And they did a proper job on us. You know, you turn up to a game like that, and you know we just had to quiet down the fans, score an early goal. We hit the bar, we hit the post twice. We did a classic Brighton. We played really well, and then we concede a stupid goal. We miss a penalty, and then Everton see it out. You know, it's either going to be like a 4 or 5-0 comfortable win in a game like that for Brighton, or we're just going to get turned over. There's never any like balance to how things go. So yeah, I think Villa will find it a bit tough there. But then they've got Sunderland, Fulham, Burnley, Spurs. I mean, is it madness to be thinking of selling Villa players?
Yes, to be honest. Like, I know they've looked pretty bad, and I think it's a continuation, because I think if you look to the beginning of the season, this is part of my thinking around Watkins and like not going with him, is just that they dropped off like massively. They were like mid-table for open play XG for the second half of the season, and then I just looked at their wingers and stuff and thought maybe they'll struggle to create. I don't know, but I can't sit here like pretty like and say, oh, I've made a great decision not having him, because my alternatives
You always sit there pretty, Luke.
just as bad. And
That's one thing you can do.
oh, thank you, Az. Same to you, mate. But I'm predominantly like fixture driven, and I just think Emery's too good of a manager. Like, the team's too good. Watkins just not going to not score. He's still a great player, right? He's just taken some time to, you know, settle in this week.
You're a real Watkins fanboy. You were
I
like
love
this on
Watkins.
the previous videos.
Well,
yeah.
so my dad supports Villa, and I've been to loads of Villa games, and I do have a soft spot for him. Like, I just think they'll sort it out eventually, right? And it might take that some of the extra personnel, like Gessard and stuff, and other people coming in, or just making Rodgers more central. But the fixtures are just too good, and there's probably too many other issues, I would suggest, in most people's team to worry about something like that. I think if you just say, oh, they haven't been any good these 2 weeks, I'm going to take them out, can get you in trouble really quickly. I mean, there were some people saying after game week 1, Man City are back, they're fantastic, you know, they won 4-0.
Yeah.
Then they go and lose to Spurs. You know, you've got Brentford who looked terrific game week 1, then they go and win like comfortably. Like, there's not many teams you could say, oh, they've consistently been good or bad in the 2 games. I know, like, you've got to say West Ham are terrible or whatever, but there's no guarantee that the third game they're going to be just as terrible. Like, the manager's job is to try and sort this out. Like, they are pretty good at their job, and in a lot of cases they will find some sort of solution or get to where they need to be. And I think certainly at the beginning of the season you can see, like, the levels of fitness and everything, it plays a big part. You know, the chemistry, like you've already mentioned. Like, does anyone think Liverpool are going to continue to be this bad? Like, maybe we've seen it with like Man City last season, where people were like, oh, they're going to suddenly become good, and they were like terrible for 15 games. But I think the smarter players, they probably do come good, right? And the same should be said for Villa, that those fixtures are good enough where there's no way that I would remove them. Like, I wouldn't be happy that they're not doing any points, but hopefully they'll continue to do them. And, you know, it depends on your chip strategy as well, right? But I think for now, you definitely hold them.
Yeah, I think we'll look at some of the team data. It's quite interesting that a lot of the teams have had like one good game and maybe one bad game. You look at like City, you look at you know, teams like Leeds, like Everton. You could argue Manchester United in that first game against Arsenal looked really good, and then for 20 minutes against Fulham looked decent, but then it kind of faded away. Forest looked great in that first game, and the second game they struggled. Then you got some teams just looked terrible in both games, like West Ham, for example. This is the team attack data. You can see West Ham are second bottom with good fixtures as well. They've had 2 decent games, and the next 6 don't look particularly good. It's going to be interesting to see whether Potter can survive the next 6 games, because they're not bottom of the fixture ticker, but they're sort of mid-table, and the way they're playing looks like they're going to give up a hell of a lot of chances. Villa are the worry, though. I mean, they're 18th in terms of XG non-penalty per 90 over the two games. They have got the best fixtures to come, but I mean, I've watched both of those games. I wish I bloody hadn't, because they've been awful matches. But they just don't look like they know what to do in the final third. It's really weird. I mean, I know they've obviously got used to having like Asensio there, and you know, Ramsey like played a big part, and they've had Rashford and things like that. But there seems to be a real disconnect between, you know, the creative force in midfield with Tielemans and Rodgers, and then Watkins up top. So he's got to sort it. He's got to sort it out pretty quickly. Yeah,
I think Kamara's got injured, isn't he? So I don't know. To guess, I'd say Tielemans maybe drops back, and then he sticks Rodgers in the 10, and then he brings in someone like Gessard on the wing or something like that, and maybe tries something a bit different, which may help them. But I mean, I was looking, like, I know, again, tiniest sample so far, and you've got the XG right there, but I was looking at it for open play XG, and Villa are like 0.03 behind Arsenal for example, who just scored 5 last week. But remember, Arsenal, like nearly all their goals seemed to come from corners, or they had the penalty as well. And obviously they were pretty bad in the first game. So there's just such a massive disparity between the teams now that you can't read too much into it. Like Arsenal right up there with 4.1, I think great, their attack's absolutely firing, and the 5 goals convinces you of that. But
look at the XG delta of some of these. So this is the expected goals and the subtracted from the actual goals scored. Liverpool are on 4 deltas. They've scored 4 more goals than the stats would indicate they were supposed to have done. Ridden their luck at times.
Yeah.
I'm very, very lucky against Newcastle. I thought Newcastle were fantastic in that game. All the injuries they had and the stupid sending off from Gordon, and they just kept going at them. Like you said, it was always going to happen that Salah was going to pop up near the end, but fair play to them. And who's at the other end? Of course, it's Brighton, minus 2.91. How we didn't score in that Everton game, I don't know, but yeah, that is what happens. Yeah, it's been an interesting start. These are quite big swings already in just these 2 games, and obviously expect them to even out a bit over the season. But yeah, for now, Liverpool definitely riding their luck, and Brighton are back to their old ways.
I think there's anything we can say fairly comfortably. If you want to draw any information from the noise, I think most people agree is that West Ham do just look really, really bad, and that just you worry because the players don't look great all over the pitch as well. I mean, obviously Bowen's great, he's always been great, but you start to struggle outside of that. Wing backs okay, goalkeepers look really bad to me as well. Like the signing's supposed to be like decent. Hermanson, is it? Or I don't even know how you say it.
Hermanson, yeah. He was good last year for Leicester. I thought they'd signed a top keeper. He looks absolutely awful.
Well, it might just be a settling in period. I don't know. Like everything's not really clicked there, and obviously there's a lot of pressure there. So I think, we talked about it just before we went online. If you're going to look at targeting anyone, the West Ham fixture this week for Forest does look really good. And someone who doesn't have any sort of Forest attackers, it's probably a bit scary. I'm actually pretty scared of like Wood, Anderson, like Gibbs-White, Ndoye.
Well, I've got Ndoye on the cover photo for this because he's had a great start to the season. Golden assist in 2 games, taking Langer's place. I said to Mark about Ndoye, and he went, his performances haven't been very good. And I was like, bloody hell.
Can't trust him on Forest, can you? Can't trust him.
No, this is exactly what I said to him. I said, I'm going to avoid him because of you, and he's going to score a hat-trick. It's always...
Never listen to fans of teams. They're always biased.
I completely agree. The other team is Wolves. You touched on them. They're 20th on this table. They are struggling to create chances. What do you make of all this Strand Larson talk? It looks like he's probably going to go, right? 60 million, if Newcastle put that bid in. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's like... I can see why they would accept it because it's a ridiculous amount of money for a player that's only been there for a year and they're never going to get that value again. But it probably relegates them if they get rid of him.
Well, it's about getting a replacement in as well, isn't it?
How are they going to get a replacement in the next couple of days?
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is that 60 million isn't a lot of money these days. Like, really, it's like default between 40 and 60 for your average player that you're going to buy. But I do think Strand Larson, it's quite a strange one, Strand Larson, because I was looking at his FPREF data, and it doesn't jump out at you. Kind of like quietly appeared at Wolves last season, but then ended up scoring 13 goals. He wasn't really the focal point in sense of like, Cunha was obviously the main man there, but he did really well. And I just think of him as a player as well. Like watch him, like he doesn't do anything like exceptionally well at all. Like he doesn't press particularly well. He's not quick. He's like strong enough. Do you know what I mean? Just like, but he is like a good player. Like I've been pretty impressed in the last 2 games. He looks, even though he hasn't scored and he hasn't got me any points at all, I'm like really happy that he was in my team because he just feels like he's like a really solid and good pick. I've just been really impressed. So, add that in the fact that he actually managed to score 13 goals in a pretty weak attack last season. Like I can see why Newcastle will go for him. I was like, thinking about who we would start for in the Premier League up front, right now with all the striker situations for the team. I asked the chat, like, how many teams do you think he would start as the 9 in the Premier League? I could only come up with 5 that he wouldn't start for as the 9 now.
Yeah, he'd start for us.
This is what I mean.
in the 9.
And that's more, I'm not saying that's because he's brilliant. I think he's fine. It's just more the state of the forwards generally at the moment for most of the teams. There's people like Isak would obviously start ahead, but he's just not a factor right now, right? So I've kind of ruled him out. There's some that you could even debate, like Palace with Mateta. I think probably Mateta, but it's maybe a conversation. But then there's a lot of others.
But he's useless. Another 70 million down the Swanee.
Yeah, even Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres would eventually, and maybe even now. But that was one of the 5 I said. Well, probably would. But Yeah,
You think Gyökeres would start over Strand Larson?
Well,
for
right now
Arsenal?
I'm talking fitness-wise. Strand Larson is obviously fitter, so Gyökeres might not have come in if Havertz was injured, would he? But he is one of the 5 where I think, Gyökeres is probably a better. We don't know that for sure, but I think he is. It's crazy, like how many bad strikers there seem to be overall in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I really like
number
Strand
9.
Larson.
Obviously.
I thought particularly against City, he was great, and 14 goals. I mean, he wasn't on pens either, was he? Because Cunha was taking them. It's amazing return in the first season for a bottom half of the table team.
Yeah,
quite hand off for that.
I think he probably has pens at Wolves, right? Because Arias seem to be much of a feature so far. And then Hwang took the penalty over Arias in the league. I don't know if you saw that. So I know Hwang normally took the penalties anyway. He doesn't really play. But that to me says that if Arias was going to be involved in the penalties, he maybe would have said, I'm the big dog, here it is, get his confidence up, give it to him. And he still didn't get it. So I feel like he is on penalties. So
it's not going to matter. He's going to go to Newcastle, and it's probably going to give you. It's probably going to give you a problem over the weekend, because if Newcastle do put in a £60 million bid over the next few days, he's probably not going to be in the squad at the weekend.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. It could be that case, but if he goes to Newcastle, you could argue, is he even a better option? I don't know.
He's an amazing option, I think, at Newcastle.
Well, it depends if they sign another forward, right? If they don't sign another forward, I think it's pretty good.
No one wants to go there. They've been trying all summer. He's the only one that wants it.
And who would have pens, do you think, out of him and Gordon if Isak's not playing? I think Gordon's the only other one I can think of that actually has taken them.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't particularly trust either of them to take it. So it's a lottery, isn't it?
Whoever wants it. There's a small chance he could even hold on to him at Newcastle.
Well, I think Strand Larson at Newcastle is a potential bit of a game breaker if he's starting regularly as the 9 for 6-5.
Yeah, Rich Collins just said Shah on pens. That's fair, actually. He is actually really, really good at them. I think he's on them at the moment with Gordon out. Yeah. So maybe. But, I mean, I'm saying he's definitely got him at Wolves. He hasn't definitely even got him, has he? But, yeah, it's just still probably a net, there's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control if it happens. I think he'll probably be starting to Newcastle number 9. I'll just roll with it for a bit. Yeah.
Brighton 1-0 up in good news. So congrats to them. Just have a quick look at team defence before we move on to some of the talking points. I thought it was interesting that Newcastle are top of this. Obviously, they had the game against Aston Villa where nothing happened in that match for the entire game, but then they had that real chaotic match against Liverpool. But actually conceded delta of 2, so they've conceded 2 more goals than they should have done against Liverpool, pretty much in that match. So good news for them. They've had the toughest fixtures, given they've played Villa, who are a top side, and Liverpool as well. So again, the defence looks quite good to get on at the moment. Chelsea defence is looking really good, even without Colwill. I know I was put off the likes of Sanchez and some of those guys, but if you've got Cucurella or Tosin potentially, or Chalobah's been doing really well. They look really good. And then at the bottom end, it's a lot of the usual suspects. You've got Burnley, West Ham, Wolves. I think many of us are too surprised. With that, Burnley's fixture been pretty good, and they are conceding a lot of chances in that match. I mean, Manchester United as well, right down there. I know the fixtures haven't been great, but you've got to think with the fixtures they've got, they're going to have to score goals, because they're not going to keep. You're not going to keep any clean sheets, are you? I mean, you might against Burnley, but after that, Chelsea, Man City. No chance, surely.
Well, goalkeeper doesn't exactly inspire confidence, does he, as well, which is a big issue. Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing to take out, I mean, again, it's tiny samples so far, but and I said it before the season started, and around players and injuries and stuff, we all often overestimate how much an injury can have an impact on the player, and we all do it. It's like Everton, the fact that Branthwaite was out, it's like, maybe they won't be quite as good in defence and they won't be the same. Michael Keane comes in, we don't think he's anywhere near as good of a player. They're still turning out the same sort of system, they still managed to get the clean sheet. I mean, it was lucky, don't get me wrong. And, you can point at Chelsea as well, no Colwill, still look okay. Like, it doesn't seem to impact as much as what we would think a lot of the time.
You've always said that, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it is more.
It's always been your mantra.
Because it's more about the team philosophy, I guess, and the manager. I mean, don't get me wrong, players do make a difference, but it's just not as much of a big difference a lot of the time as what we expect. Like, I wish I'd started with Tarkowski. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, same.
But
and Lacroix as well. They just look too. And I mean, and a Chelsea defender. I think
Well, it makes sense for the long fixtures, right? So
yeah. That's it, yeah. But, easy to say. I think what we do agree, even though there is a small sample of data, I think we both do agree that West Ham being bottom of both of these tables is very indicative of what we've seen so far. They look like they're struggling to score goals. They look like they're going to concede a bucket load of goals. And Potter played a pretty much full-strength team last night against Wolves and still managed to lose that game somehow. The fans are turning. Bowen's arguing with them. Not a good point in there. Season. I don't think he'll turn it around either. I think he just looks like a broken man. I'd be getting rid of my West Ham assets Actually, that leads us quite nicely probably onto the talking points of the week, if I can find the screen. What should we? Let's start at the top. No, we'll come back to like Bowen and some of the players to sell. I mean, the first one to talk about is injuries. I think we've obviously had some quite big injuries. Game week 2. I think I was on BlackBox last week and I said to Andy, "Isn't it nice that the majority of teams don't seem to have any like big major injuries? Because it's it's making for quite an exciting league. It means we've got lots of choice and lots of players. And then immediately we get, I think, 3 quite big injuries. I'm not including Rutter in this. I've realised I'm definitely in the minority with owning him. I think the biggest one and probably the most serious one from the ones we're going to look at is Saka. Clutching his hamstring, same hamstring that he had the problems with last season as well. Sammy Mockbell, who's got I think a couple of 100,000 followers, he's tweeted to say he expects him to miss a couple of weeks, 3 to 4 weeks with the hamstring injury. Going to miss the Liverpool game, then he'll miss the England matches as well. If anyone out there has got Odegaard, he doesn't think that one is too serious. I know Mark's already sold Saka. He's probably your best bet, right? I would be very surprised if he did turn up against Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, out of all of them, he makes the most sense because that seems the most concrete to be out. I mean, I just worry, like, is this becoming a thing with Saka? Like, he used to be extremely robust. I know he'd go down and, he's off sometimes and get subbed off and stuff, but he'd always turn up and play. And it's like the last, I don't know, maybe 6 months or maybe longer, he just seems to be picking up injuries all the time, which I really hope isn't a thing because it's fantastic. But, going back to what we're saying about the injuries and the 3 big players there, that's why I think a lot of people got criticism at the start saying, well, I want to play safe with my picks. I want to pick my players. I don't want to have any players like Rutter, for example, or other people in there or whoever that are going to cause me a problem. And I go, yeah, you don't worry, your players won't get injured. They're absolutely fine. Like, just take the chance. And it just happens so quick these days. Like Palmer, Saka, like some people are already destroyed by their team. Nori as well in their team. And it's just so quickly that it can happen, and that's why I think everyone wants to play more boring and more robust around the edges. It's just so they can hopefully carry through this. I don't think it's going to continue. It just feels like injuries just happen all the time, man. It's just part of the game now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, a few people saying that it's the other hamstring, which is, I'm not sure if that's good news or bad news. Obviously, you don't want it to be the same hamstring that he had the surgery on, but then if he's getting problems in the other hamstring as well, and it's, you've got it in both. I mean, he has played a lot of minutes, hasn't he? I mean, there was times when we all thought he was going to get benched. I remember a couple of seasons ago, there was a game, quite an easy home game it was like a dead rubber,
well,
like
starting in League Cup and everything. Like he was basically Bruno Fernandes essentially for a long period.
It was really weird. I think that's why they've gone out and bought Madueke, right, and signed players to rest him a little bit more this season. I don't think he is going to be the player, at least this season, who's going to be guaranteed 90 minutes every week. Like what we've seen, he's still a great option. He'll still be a factor in our seasons, but I don't think he's going to be that 90-minute reliable player.
Well, maybe not. But I mean, he is just leagues above most of the other options they've got, isn't he? But the thing for me to take from this is, if it's like a muscle injury, they're saying 3 to 4 weeks already. We don't know that, sure, but 3 to 4 weeks doesn't then mean he's back playing 90 minutes straight away. And we've seen this already from last season was a perfect example. People were like, oh, Saka always plays when he's fit. But he was very, very careful with him when he came back. And I know they were in other competitions and such, but I feel like you'd be silly to just do it again. You're probably going to casually build up his minutes again, which will be very frustrating. I think you have to wait quite a while before, which would be annoying because game week 7, I don't know if that coincides with 3 or 4 weeks because we've got international breaks and stuff, but the fixtures are really, really good. And people want to move to him, but it might be that it's like just terrible timing in the sense that he's not quite free of like the injury problems, or at least managing him.
Well, how's this for a conspiracy theory from Tangiru? 10% chance is more Arteta mind games came off a minute after Arsenal were 3-0 up. That would be...
Can't rule it out, I suppose. But I mean,
imagine instructing that go down, clutch your hamstring. That's going to really like put the fear into Liverpool.
Yeah, learning from Jose Mourinho.
That's it. Yeah, he's a sell for me. I mean, the other one obviously is Palmer, pictured at the Notting Hill Carnival, wearing his mask and walking around, seemingly pain-free. Not that ever tells us anything, really. Simon Phillips said that he had a scan on his groin and the results are positive, better than first feared. There was talks that he might be out for a while, and obviously they're saying now that he's saying that nothing too serious. But Chelsea and Cole will be cautious, and Fulham might come too soon. We'll see. I think again, given that this is a persistent problem that he seems to have had for a while, I'd be very surprised if he started against Fulham.
Yeah, I can't see it. Because it's just the timing, isn't it, with the international break? They obviously performed very well without him anyway. Not that they would not want him if he was fit. I think he'd just come straight back in anyway. I mean, manager literally said he's their best player by a mile. So, Yeah, I can't see it. Well, why take the risk? You can take the international off, give him 3 weeks. Groin, I don't know all the details, but people are saying that the groin is often the area for footballers that will often be like kind of sore or tender or could be on the edge all the time, and sometimes it just takes a couple of weeks out and you'll be fine. And I'm hoping that's the situation, but do you think we'll get any news before deadline? I mean, the game's Friday, so I don't know whether...
I mean, I'm not an
athlete.
athlete.
The press conference, haven't we? Used to pretty shock me.
I'm not an athlete, but I have had groin injuries, and they are an absolute bastard, like to shake off. You know, I mean, particularly when you get into your 30s and mid 30s and stuff like that. Obviously, he's a young man, a lot fitter than I am, but groin injuries are a pain, and I don't think they're going to want to.
What's that? We are the groin industry.
Injury.
I mean, that'd be a great industry to get into. The groin industry. Sign me up.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like that is something you don't want to risk aggravating because it can just get worse and take part. I mean, there's I'm not a physio or anything like that, but if there's any doubt and it's been an issue that he's had before, I can't see why you'd risk it like you said before the international break. I mean, we've both got him. What's your plan with him? Are you going to sell him this week?
I'm probably not. I'm probably just going to not do anything, which I don't feel great about, but I guess I'll get onto the reasons later when you look at my team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am selling. I'm definitely selling this week.
Well, when you've got players like Rutter and you're 15, you have to think about it. You've already had Mark Gee come into your team, for God's sake.
Well, I've got a good old Pedro, haven't I? So I've got the penalty taking.
That's the most annoying thing for me about this, as you know already. Like, I wasn't a big fan of Pedro as a pick. Like, I thought he was fine, obviously, and if the minutes were there, he'd be a great pick. But to go from game week 1 sort of being 70 minutes, no pens, to suddenly looking like 90 minutes and pens, he's just suddenly become a fantastic pick, and I don't own him. So it's not only the haul that he's already got, it's this week he looks a great pick as well, doesn't he? And, if this injury extends even longer for Palmer, continues.
It's almost like it's hard to draw conclusions from 1 week, isn't it? It's funny. It's funny that someone I know has been saying that for a while. It was funny because I was out on Friday and I made a point of like not checking the scores because I was trying to live my life and not be glued to flash scores. And I looked at the phone; it was 5-1, and my first thought was Andy. And I was like, oh, that little rat, he's going to be so happy because obviously Palmer's going to have got something in this. And I looked through it and I was laughing because I was like, oh my God, Palmer's got nothing in this whole match. Because I knew he was starting. I knew he was in the lineup. And then I texted Ellen and she was like, oh no, Palmer didn't play. And I was a bit disappointed because if Palmer had blanked in like a 5-1, that would have been great.
I did say to Andy they'd be involved in 4 goals between them for that game, didn't I? I was so close, and only one of them started.
You did, yeah. You kind of got it right loosely.
Yeah, I'll claim it.
I think. 8 Nori is the other one. I've got him in my team. We haven't had any concrete news from any journalists. Pep gave the most non-committal answer. We just said we'll have to see. So we're going on vibes really. FPL Physio is great. He often looks at these things and he knows a lot more about injuries than me talking about the groin industry. He says that he had the dual whip with Kudus, felt immediate pain and went down. We all saw him go down. He got up, he tried to play on for a bit and then they came back on. He said the physio's tested medial and lateral ligaments, and if it's a minor sprain, looking at somewhere in the region of 1 to 3 weeks. So again, I think it's very, very unlikely that he plays against Brighton. They haven't got a huge amount of options there on the left, have they? I mean, is Ake back?
Yeah, he came on for him, didn't he? So if Guardiola's not back, then Ake should play
goes
left
out.
back. Unless he could play Rico Lewis left back, but it'll be Ake, I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't think Aitno's ever had an injury before, has he? I can't remember him ever being injured. He seems...
He's got a fairly bad injury record, like 21 before that, but since then he's been like an absolute tank, an absolute machine. So it's just so many times we seem to see a player like move from one team to another. He's got a great injury record, like game week 1, 2, or 3. They just get injured and they just like
it was all the defending Pep made him do last week. It took it out of him. He's not used to that. He likes to just score goals and get in the penalty area. He's not used to getting DEFCON points.
Completely counter to how he was played in the Club World Cup.
I know.
Straight away, game week 1, you're in the left centre back position, mate. Unlucky.
Can't predict it. I'm keeping him. I think I don't really want to be making defensive transfers when I've got so many other problems in the side. I could move down to like a Tarkovsky or Laquara and Moonals or someone like that, but I think there's more points potential in other areas. And I'll just bring in one of my crappy centre backs, and hopefully he's back after the international break. But I can see why people are selling. I think Andy's talking about selling him. Don't blame me really. He's a premium defender who's probably not going to play. we'd smash him anyway. So it doesn't even matter if he does start. We're going to be winning that game 3-0. So yeah, I can see why people are selling him. We haven't talked about Rutter. I think he's a sell as well. He's not on the bench tonight, but we have gone with a very, very young team. We haven't got like Welbeck on the bench. We haven't got a lot of our first team regulars. I don't think you can read too much into it. If he's fit, he plays because we missed him in that match. But I think with O'Reilly starting and looking good in the 10, and there's just too much. There's a bit too much uncertainty. I
think he's a sell already.
Yeah, with the injury, I think he probably is. Yeah.
Okay, but the thing for me is never about the player. It's about the manager. I just don't know. Like, even if he was to say on Thursday or Friday, like, he's fine, we'll see if he's in the 11. You just don't know. Like, and that's what I didn't want for the players. Like, I think Matoma's a great pick, but I don't even want to pick him because if he picks up an injury, we're never going to know about it. It's so frustrating as a manager for FPL players anyway. And
I think when you've got like an Elliot Anderson, or you've got like a Semenyo who started really well. I mean, even like a Kudu, we're starting to see some options emerging around that 6 million mark, and it's like Brighton's fixtures aren't great. He's got this bit of an injury. You know what I mean? There's enough accumulation to just count my losses on that. He could have been a great pick. I would have really liked to have seen him play against Everton. I think he would have made a big difference. But
considering how Welbeck played the other day and obviously his injury record, I do think Rutter's still probably going to be a factor. But it's going to be hard for me to pick him for the reasons I've already mentioned. Yep. So
I agree. Someone who has really come to the fore is Richarlison. I thought we'd talk about him. I've got a quote for you. This is from my dad, who I went to see on Monday. Out of the blue, we just sat around chatting. I think he'd spent about 35 minutes telling me his story about the dentist, which I've heard about 10 times. He switched from that, and he looked at me and he went, "Do you know who I'd get as the first name in my FPL team?" And honestly, it could have been.
Is he not
anyone.
playing this year?
He's not. He won't play.
Oh,
he doesn't.
He's
like
smart.
It.
He's packed it in already. This is what we should have done.
He likes to sit in his armchair and give, tell me how rubbish I am, which is fair.
Yeah, fair, yeah.
He said, I was like, this could be anyone. He said the Tottenham striker Richarlison. I think he called him Richardson, but then he realised it was Richarlison.
The fact he has to tell you which team plays for is brilliant already.
Yeah,
the Tottenham striker.
He's not very good with names. Bless him. He said, I'd pick Richarlison. He is the best centre forward in the division. Thoughts on that?
I mean, who am I to question it?
You've been slating the strikers so far already on this stream, but is he ahead of Haaland, Watkins?
I'll tell you something. I mean, if you were to watch Richarlison for random 30 minutes, you might actually think that, because he's Brazil's centre forward at time throughout that as well. There's plenty of times where he looks like he's the real deal. But yeah, I'm probably not quite on board with that thinking. Don't get me wrong, he's played really well, hasn't he? And I think hasn't the manager come out and said that, like, he's my number 9 at the moment?
He's number 9.
He's playing well, he's scoring goals. And I think, I get that totally. But with Solanke there, I just don't like touching any player where particularly the competition is at least, I think, on a par. Like, even if they offer different things, right? Like, say, Jimenez and a Muniz situation. There's still 2 good strikers there that we've seen rotate. And it just takes one bad performance, build up of games. I mean, Richarlison's injury record is absolutely horrendous. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I think fair enough if you've got conviction, you think he is going to be the number 1. Like, the fixtures are still great for a very long time, so I can see it. But
do we overthink it? I mean, the answer is obviously yes.
I mean, there's probably plenty of people that just say he's scoring loads of points, he's starting up front, and they might do well for a little while. But we always worry that, okay, at some point I'm going to have to bring that person out, and it might happen pretty quickly, and we don't want to. We sort of see the value of free transfers higher than the casual player base, so we're like, we don't want to do that. I suppose maybe at the moment there's a chance he'd even be on penalties with no Solanke. I think he probably would.
Think he would be, yeah. I think he would. I mean, it's Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds. Yeah, I mean, if he plays 70 minutes, if he keeps his 70 minutes, even that in those 5 games, he's going to be right up there.
Well, I think
in terms of points.
If you're committed to an early wild card, I think you've got more reason to go with it and see how it goes.
Well, anyone who's listening is thinking of Richarlison, my dad says he's the best striker in the league and it'll be the first name on his FPL team sheet. So, Chris Phillips, you can blame him when it happens. Not sure if he's in the chat. I don't think he is tonight. I won't be getting him, but whenever I go against my dad's orders like this, the player always does really well. So I would advise anyone listening just to get him, and then you can celebrate with my dad.
He feels like an FPL challenge kind of player. Just get him
Yeah,
in
he
for the
does.
individual week
I
and
know.
sit
That's
back with
it.
my brace. And
I had one of my worst ever FPL moments with Richarlison. Remember that season when he was? I think it was it Postecoglou's first season when he was like the starting number 9. I think he blanked.
Yeah, and he was a
5
midfielder, right?
Yeah, I had him from the start. He blanked 5 times in a row. I sold him. He was benched against. It was someone rubbish, like a newly promoted team, but like all the rumours were that he was going to get benched. So I benched him. He came off the bench and scored twice. Just absolutely.
That's FPL, baby.
That's FPL. Yep. Okay, so other players, so not injury related, but players that we're thinking about selling out of form. You know, we talk about that. Can you be out of form after 2 weeks? We already touched on Watkins. There he is. It's not been a great start to the season for him or for Villa. Like I said, I thought he was looking very isolated in that match. Weren't able to get the ball for him. Like you said, it only takes a split second, right? Through on goal, gets a goal, scores in that. 2 fixtures, then the fixture turned really nice for Aston Villa. Top of the fixture ticker. I think if you want to hear us talk about Watkins, I think we covered it in quite a lot of detail earlier, but he's a keep for you.
The people that, if there are people that say he's out of form, do they just mean in point scoring? Because everyone was saying in those 5 games in pre-season he's the sharpest he's ever looked and he's scoring goals. So how quickly does that go? Like, yeah, I'm not having that personally. I think he looked fine. I think maybe he had 3 or 4 shots in and around the box last week as well. You know, despite how bad Villa have looked. Yeah, we've covered it already, right? I love him.
Well, I mean, in terms of XG, he is 0.3 over the 2 games.
Yeah, not fantastic. But the reason I didn't have Watkins is simply because 9 million potentially without penalties felt like a little bit much for a striker, because I just think the strikers maybe enough. But I can't. It's not like I thought he wouldn't score points throughout this time. I'm just not sure he would be value. So yeah, I still think he's an absolutely fine pick, and I was wrestling with having him myself or not. But
if I didn't have other things to do, I would be doing Watkins to Wood this week.
What if you have literally nothing else to do? Free transfers, you're sitting pretty.
If I didn't have Palmer to deal with, Saka, Rutter, Aït-Nouri, all these players, if I just had, a 2 free transfers and I wanted to use one, Watkins to Wood. Grimsby are beating Man U.
Wow. I think Wood's probably just about maybe a better option than Watkins, or at least levels, but I wouldn't make the transfer now. I still couldn't do that.
No. Okay.
Because there'll be some sort of drama next week, won't there? And you'll be like, why did I do that, mate?
Against Everton, he just smashes in a hat-trick.
Yeah.
You can see it. Just a shout out, FPL Nightmare is in the chat. Good to see you. He will be on Late Tackle on Friday. Really looking forward to that with Andrew. Don't know if you saw, Luke, who Andrew's captain was this week.
No, go on.
Anthony Gordon.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's horrendous when you captain a differential, all your hopes on it, and then that happens. I know that feeling.
And you get to the Monday night, it's like none of the big players. Haaland's blanked. It's against Salah, but Palmer's gone off. Like you've got a real chance of getting a big return, and then that happens. Absolutely awful. I feel your pain. I'll be captaining a differential this week, so I'm sure I'll be alongside you.
Well, it's more fun, apparently. Yeah,
exactly. and I don't need points to have fun, unlike you. No. You know, remind me of that quote in a few weeks. Wirtz, what have you made of his start to Liverpool life?
Well, I'll throw it to you first because I keep answering. You tell me.
Well, he's not as involved as I thought he would be. Liverpool fans were throwing out the statistic that after the first game week, he covered the most distance on the pitch in the league, and I was like, that is not what I want from
my of a barrel scraping, is it?
Yeah, from my 8.5 million forward or 115 million pound signing. I thought he'd be closer to penalty area, pulling the strings, threading through passes. It seems like the game's. He doesn't look bad, don't get me wrong. He's not like Sunday League like Havertz was in that first game I saw of his against Brighton, but he isn't as influential in the most prominent spots of the pitch that I was hoping he would be. The play like Ekatike just seems so much more lively in and around the box and making things happen, and winning the ball, chesting it down, linking up the play, everything like that. And sometimes I forget Wirtz is even playing. It goes so long with that happening. Only takes a second, and he just needs to make one good pass, one good run, get picked out. But it is frustrating. I mean, his price has already gone down to 8.4. We're looking at Ekatike, we're looking at Gakpo, Isak potentially coming in, even dropping down to, Man U for the Burnley fixture or Semenyo or something like that. It's like, how long do we give him before he becomes a problem for us? If we're saying he's not a huge problem right now, how long until he is a problem, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you in the sense that he's obviously not looked great. He's obviously just looks really weak overall, like just easily buoyed off of the ball. But I just don't. There's no way that Slot gives up on like a player of his class, right? Over 100 million and stuff. I don't just think like, you know, people are saying like he might get benched and that. And I suppose there is a tactical reason with Szoboszlai, you know, in some of the tougher games maybe, but I still can't see it. Like for me, the early subs are kind of annoying, right? But I said it before about the pre-season, what players' levels are in terms of fitness and stuff. I think Liverpool overall just haven't clicked. You know, maybe he's not quite at full capacity yet as well. I just think that we have to give him a little bit more time. Like, I'm not expecting anything versus Arsenal, which is the really annoying bit because he's already gone down. If he does nothing there, he'll probably go down again. But then he's just like, the games afterwards, I just need to remind myself, Burnley and Everton. And I know Everton's a derby and they could pull out a great defensive performance, but I don't feel like I could sell him before that. I think once we get to game week 5, like game week 6, a lot of people might be free hitting and stuff. And it's around then where I think to myself, you know, is this player like an FPL pick? And it might be that we come back to him later. But for now, we move on. But, you know, there's every chance he does really well versus Burnley and Everton. And then, you know, he starts to go back up in price. So I just don't think we can say for certain yet. I mean, Salah's looked terrible as well. If you were to say, if no one knew who Salah was before this, or worse, you couldn't really pick between them really, outside of the goal and the assist they scored in the last minute. They both looked absolutely horrendous.
Well, that's it. This is why I've got this table up now. So you'll notice in the top 20, Salah and Wirtz don't feature in this at all. I don't think any Liverpool player does. So Gakpo isn't here for midfielders either. Salah's expected goal involvement, bearing in mind he costs 14.5 million, is 0.29, which is very low. That's lower than Watkins, for example, like we saw a couple of screens ago. It's lower than Wirtz as well. Wirtz is 0.33. So Salah finds a way. We know that. We know that he will overperform on his metrics. He has done for seasons upon seasons upon seasons. But I completely agree with you. It's like the only difference between them really is the returns. A last-minute goal from Salah and an assist really it was a very well worked goal. Don't get me wrong, but obviously the dummy from Szoboszlai and a great finish from the 16-year-old. Without that goal and assist, we're looking at Salah, aren't we? And we're thinking, should we be moving him on for other players?
I mean, points shouldn't dictate, in my mind at least, who you move to. Like, it should be, like I said, for the reasons that we've got the good fixtures. You know, they've got the good data. I know he's come from another league, so you can't say for sure. But it's just like, I don't want to just go, oh, he hasn't got any points, so I'm getting him out. And it could just switch around straight away. I just think it's a little bit too early. Like, don't get me wrong, if I could go back now and you know had a little bit more of this, he's going to come off on the 75th minute and stuff like that, then I'd probably pick someone else in that position and then come to him later, because the fixtures weren't fantastic, but it's Liverpool who probably, I mean, they're fantastic in pre-season. They're scoring, like, people saying they're going to score over 100 goals. Like, everyone's on, well, most people are on Salah. And, you know, the other options, despite being potentially good options in Ekitike and Gakpo, had risk with them, didn't they, compared to Wirtz? So I think you can't beat yourself up too much for going there, I think, if people are doing that.
Well, Gakpo's 0.39, so there's not much in it between Gakpo, Salah and Wirtz.
I mean, I said this sounded like Diaz. Do you remember at the beginning I said Gakpo sounds like the Diaz situation, where he'll probably just keep playing at left wing and absolutely smash it for the first few games, and then maybe after that we're in trouble. I mean, the Isak signing, if that happens, you know, that's people's concern. But if that doesn't happen, maybe you consider moving to Gakpo. I mean, he's cheaper and apparently he's got more goal threat.
It's Ekitike I'm looking at, though. I mean, his XGR 0.85.
Yeah, he keeps going up, doesn't he?
8.7 now. If Isak doesn't sign, he's going to be playing that role for the whole season. I think he could be a really good option for us. I mean, I don't even think that is, you know, just judging on I didn't really give him much thought going into the season. I didn't want to put too much stock on the Community Shield, where I thought he was really impressive, but I think he's going to be a really essential part of the team. I must admit, I didn't watch any Bundesliga games. I was reading some analysis of him and things like that. I wasn't expecting him to be as good as he is. I think he's an absolutely phenomenal player. Fair play, great going. Look great. Yeah.
But on Liverpool, I think there are other factors. Like, they come up against a really good Palace team in the Community Shield. You know, they didn't have Gravenberch for like the first game as well, and then obviously they didn't have McAllister for the second game. I know we said players don't always make a big difference, but I feel like they struggled in midfield. You've also had Frimpong, you know, probably going outside Salah, and they worked on those patterns in pre-season and everything, and then he just gets injured straight away. I just think it's too early. Like, Liverpool are surely going to sort it out with Slot and everything. You see he's not happy. So it's only a matter of time before they sort it out for me. And it's just, unfortunately, like, the game's terrible this week for them. But after that, the next two, surely Slot's going to pull something out and make the system work.
JC says season doing a lot of heavy lifting given its games. That's so I don't have to update the title every bloody week. But also it's the season. It's just because it's 2 weeks doesn't mean it's not the season. Thank you very much. Obviously when we have when we get to like game week 7-8 we can look at season versus last 6, which is what we normally do, but for now it's the same thing. The last 6 is obviously the season. Okay, so Verts, keep for both of us for now.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, he's one of the players that I was in and ahhing already, so it feels hard to do that, but I am going to do it because I just think it's the sensible thing to do.
I mean, you've got to give him that Burnley and Everton game, haven't you? Like he's got Arsenal, he's got a bit of a free hit in that. You're not going to sell him before Burnley in game week 4. You're going to give him Everton at home after that, and then it's Palace, Chelsea, Man United.
For me, it will mostly be the minutes thing. Like, let's say he gets subbed off again 70 versus Arsenal, or maybe doesn't start or whatever, I don't know. And then he plays Burnley and Everton, and even if he looks good, he comes off in like
oh my god, sorry, it's 2-0 to Grimsby.
Jesus Christ, horrendous, aren't we? Absolutely horrendous. Yeah, but God, that would be the main concern for me if he keeps coming off at like 70, 75. Because I think that's far enough into the season. We've had the international break by then, everything, like games where you'd want him on the pitch for 90 minutes versus those teams, and then it's like you're paying too much for a player who's not going to see 90. Like, you could get Ismail Sarr or whatever, who's basically striker for 2 million less, and hopefully will play closer to 90 because they haven't got many other options at the moment.
Yep, agreed. Okay, and then the final one, who we have mentioned a little bit, is Bowen. He's playing for a struggling team. Obviously, he's the classic great FPL pick in a poor team. He's been like that for a while now.
Forever.
Finds ways to get points, talisman, all the things that you want. Obviously, got reclassified. That put a few people off. He's got quite a big price tag now. I mean, 8 million is probably the most expensive he's been, or at least the joint most. He's been. Tough fixtures coming. He's had good fixtures and not performed in those. You could move him to a Wood, for example, or someone else. I was listening to Planet FPL James earlier. He's got Bowen. He says he's more than happy to play him. He's expecting points, not giving up the hope, blah, blah, blah. If I had Bowen, I would be... I mean, I'm tempted to get rid of Watkins, let alone if I had Bowen.
Yeah, but like you've already said, he's done this a lot. Like, sometimes West Ham have just been bad, and then he just turns up with the points anyway. It's the fact that he's always on the pitch, right? Like I didn't want to pick Bowen at the start of the season because I just don't think 8 million for a player who's not playing up front and is not on penalties is particularly good value. Like, his main sort of selling point, I guess, is the fact that you know he's going to play and he's going to play 90. That's probably like top. But yeah, so it's hard to answer when you didn't really fancy them at the beginning, if you know what I mean. So what would I do if I had them now?
What's changed?
Yeah,
exactly.
But I think I'd probably... I mean, the fixtures, I know that you said Forest there, then they've got Spurs and Palace, who both look like they're pretty decent defences, followed by Everton. So yeah, I think it's probably if you've got like a complete vanity move, then I can see it. But otherwise, again, I'd just probably stick with it because he's done this so many times before. Like, he still will find the way to get points. He always will.
You won't believe this, Luke, but it was an Onana mistake for Grimsby's second goal.
Jesus Christ, man. Who's our third choice keeper? I don't even know who it is.
I know, you need Henson back. He was your best one. You got rid of him.
Yeah, he was the messiah, and then he got injured, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying hold Bowen then. If you had him, you'd keep him.
I just think it's too early still.
Okay. Yep. Okay, cool. Third talking point we've done. Let's come over to the fourth one, which is clean sheets. And this is one from you. You sent a message out the other day and you just said, I think there's been more clean sheets this season than there has been in other seasons after 2 game weeks. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to look into that because that actually sounds quite interesting. I haven't got a graphic for it, but I had a look at Scout. Obviously, they're sponsors of this video. Actually, while we're there, I'll just flag up their QR code. You can do things like check out match game weeks from previous years, which is what I did to find these clean sheets. You can literally go back like 10 seasons and see all the fixtures and results and everything on the website. We're going to be talking about DEFCON in a bit, and you can view those live. They're a bit more in real time than you see on the main website, a bit more accurate. If you're interested in all this good stuff, scan the QR code on the screen, and you can use our code FFS BlackBox5 for 5% off your membership, and that will lock that price in place forever. So you'll never pay a penny more as long as that subscription renews at the end of each year. But back to clean sheets. Yeah, so 13 clean sheets we've had so far in these 2 game weeks. In 2024, there was 11 at the same time after game week 2. In 23, there was 9. In 2022, there was 10. In 2021, there was 13, so the same number. And in 2020, there was 9. So you were right, basically. In the last 6 years, this is the joint most
My
clean
instinct,
sheets.
you see. Bang
Yeah,
on.
joint most clean sheets that we've had. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, obviously we've got DEFCON, we've had that boost of defenders already. There are some attacking defenders as well. Are we back to wanting to spend a bit more money on defence? We say this every year, don't we? And then we always end up with all the money in midfield.
Yeah, my true answer is absolutely nothing. But it goes some way to blame. It goes some way to show why it feels like all the attackers have been bad. I mean, probably people in the chat are thinking they're like, I'd love to remove this player, but I don't really know who I'd go for yet. And it's just a feeling that generally most attackers have just failed outside of a few picks so far. I think that's more than it is. It's like, do you really think that's going to continue? It might do, but we've seen a gradual trend, I think, in the last few years of clean sheets going down, if anything.
Well, think of the amount of money teams are spending on their attacks, and you look at teams like Leeds who are trying to play out of the back as well, and just giving Arsenal like chances in the box. Like, nothing strikes me as like suddenly looking at loads of park the bus teams, and it strikes me as teams want to score. I mean, obviously they want control and things like that, but I've always thought clean sheets are probably harder to come by than usual.
Well, also fixtures will be doing a lot of heavy lifting, right? It depends a lot in those seasons what fixtures you've had in the first 2 weeks. If you've got like a massive team home to a promoted team, you obviously think the clean sheet chances are a lot higher, right? We'll probably look at Rob T's graphics and stuff like that. So I know it probably doesn't mean anything at all, but it's just the nature of the beast so far. There's been quite a lot of clean sheets, and it's just crazy that it's happened in a season where defenders have been boosted. You've got DEFCONs as well, so suddenly they're looking like the more appealing picks, and it's hard to find midfielders, attackers. But I'm sure it will all change around. I can't see there's nobody scoring. I mean, I suppose we've had quite a lot of. I talked about the forward situation. You've got a lot of players that haven't really, like Isak's been out, hasn't he? Salah's not looked himself. Palmer's got injured straight away. A lot of the big hitters are like out of the game pretty early on, so they have a substantial impact, I guess, because they're favourite to score most weeks, aren't they?
Yep. What have you made of like DEFCON though, in general? Like Andy and I have spoken about it a little bit. I mean, have you enjoyed like tracking the DEFCON points as they've come in?
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, but as I said before, because I'm a Sky manager, I'm kind of used to this setup, and that's why when I built my teams, I generally wanted to have the DEFCON people in there, because I felt like it would be useful at the back, and it would just save you a lot of headaches and transfers. And there's some situations where I think the fullback like Porro was a good shout compared to a DEFCON person, but I really wanted Lacroix, I can never say his name.
I really want him. Every week I look at him and I think he's going to absolutely smash it this season.
Yeah, but there's one thing that stands out to me, and it's what we were saying before, is if you look at that list of players, it shows that it is more repeatable behaviour than what people anticipate a lot of the times, in the sense that there's no real standout surprises there, and all the people we thought were DEFCONing, or would DEFCON, have DEFCON. Sorry. Outside of maybe the Forest defenders, annoyingly, which is one of the ones I've gone for. But
it's bloody typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, I think people will realise the power of it. I mean, Anderson got 4 points the other day, and that was like close to my second highest scorer in my entire team. And if you just can get those 3 or 4 points from your defenders every week, it racks up as clean sheets. I know they've happened quite a lot so far, but they are generally quite hard to find, and it makes a big difference. I think we're already seeing a lot of people are going, I went for De Kuyper for the attacking threat, and it's like, we've got a yellow card and subbed off in 60 minutes, and he's got no chance at DEFCONs, and it's like, they're just crap picks compared to.
I think what it allows you to do is I don't, like I said earlier, I don't want to be making defensive moves. So if you bring in the defenders who've just got that extra route to points, you can get away with it. Like, I'm looking at Rodon this week. He's got Newcastle, but I'm thinking, okay, they haven't got a striker. I expect Newcastle to score. Could he come away with that with the 2 DEFCON points and get 4? Like, I think that's not a million miles away in terms of possibility. So previous seasons, I'd be panicking. I've got no real bench. I haven't got 8 Nori, but actually, if he comes away with 4 points for 4 million, that's actually not a bad bad pick. Whereas in midfield, if you've got like an Anderson or Baleba or Casado, I think there's always going to be other midfielders that you sort of want to bring in. You know, like we said, we've got Semenyo, you've got the Rodgers, you've got all these like sexy picks, you know, that you might want to go with. And I would feel a bit weirder about just playing one of those every week as opposed to the defence. So that makes me just want to get on like Tarkowski and Lacroix and Anderson like as soon as possible, because I can just sort of forget about it, you know, while the fixtures are good. So that's what that wild card is going to be built on, I think, when I play it inevitably in the next few weeks. Yeah. It's going to be trying to target those.
I think there is
players.
still a balance in the sense that I still really like Arsenal defence, and I know they're expensive, but they probably won't get.
Look at Raya. Look at the start he's had again, same as last year.
No, I know, but I think if there's any exceptions, it's like I kind of want DEFCON guys and Arsenal defenders, and that's what I thought at the beginning of the season, and nothing that's happened so far has changed. I just didn't.
That's why you got triple Spurs.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that was because of a fixture play and then an early wild card. But I think that if I have a regret when we're talking about picking the team, it's like I just didn't think Arsenal were worth starting with because the fixtures weren't good enough. I knew that I wanted to move, and I just talked about not wanting to book transfers in. It's only been 2 games, but already it just looks like it might be a mistake not to have gone there. And there's like good managers like, I don't know, 11FI and people like that just, they've picked like 2 or 3 Arsenal defenders right from the beginning, and straight away it just looks like a masterstroke. It's also against the field, right? So you're playing a bit of an effective ownership game there where not a lot of engaged managers will have them, but they will have to move to them later. So if they get 2 or 3 clean sheets in that period just because they're the best defence by a mile, then you're already in a winning position. So it's like those kind of smart plays that I really like, and I think that it's something I wish I'd maybe done myself, but it's too late now because they've already gone up 0.1, Saliba and Gabriel, like straight away. It's crazy. So I'll probably have to wait for game week 7, unfortunately. But yeah, just to throw in against it, I don't think it's like purely DEFCON, but certainly DEFCON is like trumping fullbacks. Like we thought at the beginning of the season, and so far it just seems to be the way.
Tarkowski was so bloody obvious, wasn't he? When you look at it, it's like 5.5. No one was going to get near that. With Everton having good fixtures, and you know we even showed that chart, didn't we, in pre-season, which was even when Everton are playing crap teams, they still find a way to concede possession and get the DEFCON points. So yeah, he looks a great pick. I mean, there's what's that, about 8 players who have had DEFCON points in both games. Van Dijk, Weaver, he's an absolute monster for the DEFCON. He's got 31 over the 2 games. Van Dijk with 35 is pretty impressive too. Senesi, who you mentioned, Lacroix, Vandenberg, the Brentford defender.
Yeah, he was really good for them. I think it's because he played right back a lot, wasn't he? But whenever he played centre back, his numbers were really high. And
that's it. There's a great article by Neil on Scout about Brentford, which led to Yelena picking him in her team and starting him 2 weeks. So I saw it in her team and I thought, she's like auto-picked that. It turns out he's actually not a bad pick. So yeah, well done. Tarkowski, he's got 25. Dan Burn is doing well. He's got 100% success on the DEFCON so far too. And De Ligt as well, who's going a little bit under the radar in terms of those DEFCON points. Although Man United losing 2-0 to Grimsby with tough fixture on the horizon doesn't bode well for him. A shout out to Ellen Anderson though, who has 22 DEFCON, which is actually higher than De Ligt, who has a 100% record with 21. No DEFCON points for him. He's been 1 under the threshold both times.
Really unlucky, to be fair. Really unlucky.
Incredibly unlucky, right?
Yeah, he's clearly just a really good pick, isn't he, Elliot Anderson? It's just a bit of unluckiness there.
Yep.
I mean, second half of the season, we all know from pre-season data when we were looking at it, he was an absolute beast for him, and it's clearly just there again. Like, he's going to get him regularly, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Let's take a look at some predictions then for the game week ahead. We've also got the leaderboard, and if you're interested in getting involved in this, head over to the BlackBox Patreon. We've got the Predictions League set up. You probably need to get involved in that very soon if you're going to hope to win the coveted trophy. So yeah, have a look at that. I've got a QR code for that somewhere. Let's just stick that on the screen in case anyone wants it. There you are. Scan that QR code on the screen. Sign up to be a patron. There'll be a meetup at some point. I think we're looking at sort of early next year, something like that. You get access to the Predictions League. There's a trophy for the winner of the mini league as well, and other bits and bobs too. The Discord channel, which is free. There's a link for that in the description, but there's also a designated Patreon part of that too. So if you're interested, set the QR code and join us on Patreon. Predictions though, Chelsea Fulham, let's start with that. All eyes on Pedro, I think. I've gone for a 2-1, as have you. It's not the Friday night game. There isn't a Friday night game. I think you scared a few people with that when you said that earlier in the...
Well, I dreamt that up.
Yeah, no, it's Saturday at 12:30.
Oh, it's the first game. Yeah, that's right.
It is the first game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might get some team news on Palmer. He would have dropped by then, I'd imagine. He'd be down to 10-4. So yeah, I think if you're probably not if you're not going to make it, I'm probably going to make some moves tonight. I think because I won't be able to afford the transfers I want to do if I don't. So I'll probably be doing that, and then he'll probably start against Fulham, and then he'll probably absolutely smash it. But with or without Palmer, we're back in Chelsea, right?
Yeah. I mean, Fulham are decent, but Chelsea they're a top 4 side. I know you probably hate me saying that, but they're certainly in and around it. And yeah, I think surely they win. They're going to be favourites, aren't they? Have you got Rob T's data on here at all to have a look at?
Yeah, I've got Rob T. Do you want to look at that after predictions, or do you want to look at that?
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, it's fine. We'll just have a look back afterwards and see whether we're talking rubbish or not.
We probably are. Let's be honest.
I went on vibes this week, so I didn't even look at any data.
Well, speaking of talking rubbish, I've gone for a 3-0 Man U against Burnley. Not looking likely with them losing to Grimsby tonight.
Isn't it like total backup team for Man United tonight? I haven't even looked. Let's have a look.
Well, Cunha's playing. That's all. I know Cunha and Onana are playing. I don't actually know who else is there.
I mean, it's a fairly strong side, but it's definitely not the first 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Man United, regardless of the result tonight and the bias it might bring to the chat, I can already say saying 3-0's definitely not happening. They're going to be favourites, right? And yeah, I think you've got to back Man United at home to Burnley, surely, as bad as we might be.
If you don't win that game, let's say you draw, right? Let's give you a generous draw, and then you're going into Man City, Chelsea.
We'll play well in them games.
Yeah, I mean, but conceivably you could be coming into game week 6 with 2 points.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll be fine.
Not a problem. do you think Amarin survives the season?
I honestly don't know. Who knows with Man United these days? I mean, is it something like 28 points in 29 games he's got?
Yeah.
Like, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, everyone knows what the problem. Why are they sticking to the system that we just don't? I know we keep trying to buy the players for that system and just shun anyone else.
And getting rid of all the players that don't fit it, and then when he does inevitably go, you're going to be without like Garnacho, without Mainu, who I've always quite liked as well. You're going to have all these players, all these like 10s. No one.
Just got no one in centre midfield. That's what it bows down to.
Yeah.
Like,
Belabor would have been a great signing.
Centre midfield is like so important. You look at Man City with no Rodri and how it affects them, like just in and around the area. You look at Newcastle versus Liverpool when they haven't got McAllister, and you look at their midfield 3 and how they've bossed that game for them. Like, I just think it's so important to have that control in that area of the pitch. Man United just don't have it. They're just never going to be able to control games as a result.
How is Casemiro still starting?
Well, he has to, because he's basically the best option in that spot. You can only sort of burns bright for about 20 minutes, and then he's dead.
Ugarte just hasn't delivered.
Ugarte's absolutely terrible. He's so bad. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to sign a centre midfielder. It's just going to be like probably devastating for any chances.
Yep. Despite that, you've gone for a 2-1, so that's optimistic. Spurs Bournemouth, I've gone for a 2-1. You've gone for a very hopeful 1-0, I think, with your triple defence.
I've basically picked exactly what I would like to happen, which never happens for me.
Romero header.
Yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, Bournemouth will probably score. They're always good for a goal. Be a tough game.
Sunderland, Brentford, I've gone for a 1-0, which would be more Van der Berg points if he gets another clean sheet. In that, you've gone for a 2-1, Brentford.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Brentford against Villa. Looked really good.
Yeah, and Andy giving it all to Sunderland, and then they were not so good the next week. I wonder if he's backtracking on that.
Probably known him.
That's another regret of mine, to be fair. This is Thiago. It's like I still can't beat myself too much because of the fact that Wissa is still there, but again, he's just 6 million for a striker on pens. I know you weren't a fan, but if he just ends up being the starting striker, it's just great value, isn't it?
It was annoying that episode because I can't pick him now because I was so anti Thiago in that game. I still can't believe Andy hasn't got Bruno Fernandes after saying the infamous, which he has not got enough stick for, the infamous, I just can't see any way in which Bruno Fernandes blanks.
Yeah, I mean...
2 blanks in a row.
Well, does DEFCON count? I know he only got 2 points.
No,
it doesn't
not
count.
For the purposes of this, it doesn't.
I mean, he could have literally had a 12-pointer if he just scores the penalty. So frustrating.
I was so happy.
I bet you were.
Happy.
I was not.
That. Oh, it's like the little dance around the living room. It was so pathetic. Wolves, Everton, not too many eyes on this one. Gone for the 1-1. You've gone for a 2-1 Wolves.
Yeah, Strand Larsen
Arias
finally
to get his
come
first first return?
Yeah, probably, and probably take the pen over Strand Larson there, my luck as well. But nah, I think Strand Larson at home, if he's going to start, will be good. Be interesting though. Maybe he's not in the lineup with all the transfer news, and then yeah, I don't know. I just don't want Everton to get a clean sheet. It's more the fact that I didn't pick Tarkowski, and I really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, same. I completely agree.
Garden
Leeds
Centre game.
Newcastle.
People are saying, "Oh, there's 3 o'clock though. You can't have a 3 o'clock."
Can't have a 3 o'clock. You know the rules. You can't have a 3 o'clock as a Garden Centre game. Leeds Newcastle. We've both gone for a 1-0. I mean, that could be the Garden Centre game if it is just a 1-0 Newcastle. I mean, they are ravaged, aren't they, with the suspension and you know some concerns around basically their entire midfield as well.
Could be, I suppose.
Good time to play him for Leeds.
2 interesting sides, anyway.
Yeah.
So
that we've gone for a really boring result in. So that sums it up.
I just don't worry about Leeds' ability to score goals. That's all. I think they probably played pretty well in that game, and then Newcastle. Well, that's why we both went for the 1-0, I guess. Just managed to get it.
Yeah. I think if you're picking a time to play Newcastle, Leeds are going to have to go for it. But I think Newcastle just will have a little bit too much. Brighton City, we've gone different here. I've gone for a Brighton win in this one. You've gone for a 3-1 City. Depends if Rodri's fit. I think I'm sort of hoping he's fit enough to start, but looks really rusty, and we just overrun them a bit with Baleba and
I think he
we
does
play
still
in
look rusty.
midfield.
This does feel like a game where it's proper random. Like anything could happen in that game, and you wouldn't be surprised. You know, Brighton can sometimes play like a higher line, and then they've got like you know, centre backs that, or Dunk's not the most mobile in the world, but then you know, City go from looking half decent and free flowing to not be able to generate attacks.
Spurs did a number of them by just getting in their face and just not letting them play football, pressing high, winning the ball back. You know, so direct, and that is what we do. We do that really well. It's not an easy game for City to come to us. We like having the ball. We'll put them under loads of pressure. If they've got injuries at left back and they're playing Ake sort of out of position on that side, and Trafford hasn't looked great, has he? There's talks about Donnarumma coming in.
He made that mistake, but I think he's been all right. In these games, I think a go-to tactic of Pep's, if they push up like that and press, is to actually just bypass the midfield and use the goalkeeper kick straight to Haaland. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that happen a few times, where you'll get Haaland basically just chasing down a goal kick versus your centre-backs, and you'd back him in that situation a lot. So I think Haaland is a good, like, if I had Haaland in my team, he'd just be an easy captain this week, right? Like, if you don't have Bruno as well.
No.
You wouldn't captain Haaland? No. Well, you went for 2-1 Brighton, so I guess you wouldn't, but... I would
do you know what? I'll take it back. I might, just because of the lack of other viable alternatives in the team. I don't know if I'd fully trust Man U, for example, if I had Haaland. Would I back like a Wood or something like that? I don't know. If you're paying that much money for him, I'd probably be pushed to him towards that, but I wouldn't be if like Liverpool and Arsenal weren't playing each other, for example, and you could get away one of their. Or if Palmer was fit, I think Palmer would be a great captain this week against Fulham if he was back. I don't mind the Pedro pick. Definitely something I'm looking at.
Alex Turner's saying that might be the Garden Centre game, by the way, Brighton, Bancy. There's a world where I can see that as well. Just passing around.
What are you talking? Rubbish.
I think it literally could be anything. It could be fantastic or boring.
There is no way you would go to a Garden Centre and not watch Brighton City. Two of like potentially the most exciting teams.
It ends up being a dull affair.
It could be. You don't want to risk it. You don't want to risk on missing out on like a 3 or 4 all classic. I mean, it could be really low scoring, but I'm not having that. Forest West Ham. This one could be a contender, I think. I've gone for a 1-0. You've gone for a 3-0 Forest here. You think they're going to do a right number on them? Yeah,
I'm pretty scared of this game. I just think West Ham have been that bad. I think Forest have actually looked a lot better than they have last season, particularly towards the back end. I think Gibbs, White and Anderson have just been playing really, really well. Yes, I think they're just probably going to... I mean, I don't have Chris Wood, and if you don't own Chris Wood, usually he ends up scoring. So
that is very true. He is part of Mark's -4.
Is he really?
He is.
Okay.
He is indeed, yeah. Liverpool Arsenal, we've gone very different here. I've gone for a 2-2 classic. You've gone for a 0-0 absolute bore fest.
Yeah. Arsenal, they're just great at this, and I think... Liverpool don't look shaky. Yeah, they don't
lose to Liverpool.
Yeah, I just think that'll be the message basically, and just try and go for the 0-0. Hope for the corner goal as usual. Yeah, I mean, people are saying if Konate starts, then I saw someone today at work. He's like, if Konate starts, give the win to Arsenal now. People are not happy with him the way he's been performing.
Yeah. Well, they need Gahey in, don't they? They need to make that signing as soon as possible, because I think Konate just doesn't look.
I don't know what's really happened, because he was good for.
He was a beast. Yeah. He was a beast.
Starting French international centre back for a while, but it's just not
it's been coming for a while. It's not just the last 3 games. I think Liverpool fans have been getting a bit fed up with him for a while. I think they thought he'd be replaced by now. I think Gahey will go there though anyway over the in the next few days, so there's not too much to worry about that. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Liverpool are having to score goals because they're struggling so much at the back. I think this is a big game for players like Wirtz, who hasn't started well. We've got players like Ekitike, who's been playing great. They've still got all the players, trying to play for their place, with Isak potentially coming in as well, not knowing where he's going to start. And Arsenal, with Gyökeres, if they can get the ball to him, he's got the form, the confidence now. Not using the word form after 2 weeks. Sorry, I know that's a trigger word for you. But got the confidence after his performance. We haven't really spoken about him too much. I mean, it was a good goal. His first goal was nice, well taken. Bad defending, but took it nicely. And there was no. He was taking that penalty, wasn't he? There was absolutely no way he wasn't going to smash that. And bloody hell, he can take a pen, can't he? I mean, surely there's no more of this messing around of Odegaard taking one, Saka taking one, all this. You just give it to him, right? He looks so bloody confident when he steps up.
I mean, all the talk seems to be that way. So if he's on the pitch, he's definitely favourite to take the penalties, isn't he? He's going to be a good pick from us from game week 7 onwards, and maybe even before that. It looks like anyway. So.
Ash from FPL Juice triple captained him, so fair play.
Yeah,
good,
decent.
That out of the way early and be cool.
It feels like quite a long time since we've had I know Haaland's probably the exception, but top 4 teams with a 9 who is nailed and takes penalties. It just hasn't happened for a long time. So if that is the case for Gyökeres, he's probably going to be hard for him not to be valued, even if you don't particularly rate him as a player yet or whatever. You'd start to see 15, 20 goals quite comfortably with penalties.
Yeah, I think he should get 15, 20 goals this season.
If he gets the minutes, I suppose. But he's still got Jesus, he's still got Havertz.
Oh, come on. They're not going to get anywhere bloody near the team.
No. One game against
Jesus
Leeds.
Jesus is not getting anywhere near that Arsenal team with the signings they've made.
Jesus is a good player, man. I don't know about that.
Nah, bloody useless. Havertz might take some minutes.
He's only played for Man City and Arsenal, but he's terrible apparently.
Reject at both. He always looks so concerned and sad. It makes me sad when I watch him.
He's got to be tricked by his facial expressions.
It's his eyebrows. He's got such expressively sad eyebrows. Final game, Aston Villa versus Palace. You've been singing the praise of Watkins once again, and you've backed a 2-0 Palace. Comfortable win in that. I've gone for another 0-0. The time is wrong on the screen. It is not Sunday at 7:16. That'd be a very specific kickoff time. It is Sunday at 7 though, which is a bit of a weird time for a game. It's a big day of football on Sunday. It should be fun. But yeah, you love Palace, don't you? So I'm not too surprised to see you giving them a win.
Yeah, a bit of a rogue one because they've also got the cup game and the European game beforehand, and they looked proper tired for that last 20-30 minutes versus Forest the other day. So maybe not, but yeah, I'm just backing Palace. I'm just going to do it every week. I think I'm just going to put Palace down for a win.
Rockby says Jesus has a better chance of making Arsenal's team than Barco has of making Brighton's.
Arsenal, I'll tell you now, when Jesus is fully fit and back, he's not going to just not see any minutes, is he? I'm not saying he's going to be in the 11 every time, but he does a role particularly well.
I had genuinely forgotten he was even there.
Well, he's been injured for a long time.
He's not getting into
He is a player that occasionally you could watch, I think the game versus Leicester when they scored 4 goals and he got a brace and assist. You watch him, you think he was the best player in the world. He's unbelievable. He does it for 3 weeks every year and then just vanishes.
Do you remember we all had him, didn't we? When he first signed for them, he was in everyone's team.
Oh, yeah, for Man
he got
City.
17 points or something one of the first weeks, then just never scored again that season. Something like that. Cool, excellent. This is the prediction standings for the Godfather tier. Members, Hesmo, who won it last season, has had a good start as well. I think he's 5th on the list. Richard Morris is currently leading. He's got 55% of the outcomes right and 20% of the exact scores right, giving him a score of 19. You get 3 for the correct score and 1 for the correct outcome. I'm doing all right, actually. 60% correct outcome. That's better than my normal 50%, which has been over the last 5 years. You and Andy, just behind me, on 12. 50% is a target, Luke. You just got to hit 50% over the season, and then you can hold your head up high, because that is about it. I mean, it has been interesting doing these over the years and realising that, as people who watch football every week and everything like that, we do all average out at around 50%. So it just shows that's the unpredictability of the league. Only half the games are going to go the way that you expect.
Well, that's why I think sometimes Super 6 and stuff, you're better off just getting someone who doesn't even know about football and just
absolutely
picking it at
random. I know, yeah, because you like the names, or something like that. Before we look at our teams, let's look at captains. These are the likely lads, I think, in terms of captains: Haaland, Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Chris Wood, João Pedro and Watkins. Where are you leaning at the moment? I have absolutely no idea who I'm going to captain this week. I think I'm probably going to go for a bit of a punt with someone who isn't on this list. But interested to know where you're thinking.
Well, there's only 2 names I own on that list, and they're Salah and Bruno. And given the fixture difference between them, I've got to go Bruno, right? That's part of the reason why I picked him. So I'm going to be going for Bruno and hope he doesn't miss a penalty this time. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Salah outscores him. That's what Salah does, even though he's looked terrible the first 2 games, as we said. I mean, I would be tempted. I said about Haaland. Is he top there in expected points? Or no, this is XGI.
Yeah, XGI is top 1.5. I mean, he's miles clear.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good performance in terms of XGI in his last game. Just couldn't convert the chances. Did that terrible pass for was it Marmouche, who was just there like on the penalty spot, and Haaland just massively overhit it.
Yeah, missed the header as well. Happens to the best of them, and it happened a lot last season as well. I mean, I'd be tempted by Haaland if I owned him. I mean, that's part of the reason, surely, why you've got him. And a lot of people who have Haaland won't have Salah, so I think he will be quite popular. But yeah, out of the other 3 down there, I think Watkins and Pedro Wood, they all are pretty close. I mean, Pedro's probably and Wood are the ones that are definitely on penalties, right? So does that have a factor over Watkins? Would you pick them over him for that?
I'd go Wood, I think, if I had him.
Just because of West Ham?
Just because of West Ham, the fixture, their attack's been all right. They've been creating chances better than we thought maybe they did over pre-season. Endoy's come in, he's getting assists, he's got a goal. I mean, they've got some threat. I mean, the only issue with Wood is he is getting subbed a little bit earlier. They have got other options that they can bring on. You know, if it's not working, for example, they can bring him off after 60, 70 minutes and try someone else. I also wonder with Wood, if a new manager does come in, because there's still all this uncertainty around Nuno, right? New manager comes in and goes, well, I'm not playing bloody Chris Wood up front, you know? I'm going to bring someone else in. You know, he's a great man for that system, but if there's another system that a new manager wants to implement, could he be a casualty? You know, given his age and things like that, and other options
maybe
they've got.
In time, yeah. I mean, it's the kind of situation, I guess, that happened to Awanoe, where one injury then sort of brought him out of the team, and then it's hard maybe to get back in if the other guys start doing well, right? I think that could be a situation, but probably a bit harsh on him. He's probably pretty nailed for now, regardless of the situation. But it's part of what we talked about waiting. It's like we're just at this point where the amount of information you gain this week going into game week 4 and waiting compared to any other week so far is just so huge with all the other factors that, you know, you'll get some of the answers to those questions, I guess. I mean, if Nuno's going to go, is it going to happen soon? I mean, surely they'll come out and... Was there talk like they were going to sort of sit down and have chat, and then it will be... I mean, usually everything's communicated from the chairman, isn't it? Like, literally every action that he does,
weird,
some sort of statement that will come out, so
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised.
It's very weird. I mean, again, I was listening to... So I'm just changing the table because I had Bruno as the wrong fixture, as someone pointed out, against Fulham. It's changed to Burnley now. His stats were right, but the team that he's playing is obviously worse than Fulham was. It depends what happens. I mean, if he goes into that talk and he talks in the way that he has been over the last few weeks, I can't see how he keeps his job, because I don't think Marinakis is going to put up with it. He's going to, you know, they're going to have a big Barney. Marinakis is going to go, you're out, you know, pack your bags and I'll get someone else in. I think the only way it can be resolved is if Nuno goes in and sort of apologises and things like that. But then what's he got to apologise for? You know, it was a pretty bad pre-season. They've only just started bringing in the players, you know, quite late. You know, they had all the stuff with Gibbs White, stuff that went on. I mean, that got resolved in a good way, but you know, still a lot of uncertainty around.
Yeah, we only get to see what we get to see, don't we? There's loads of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that you're just not privy to information.
I mean, if any team needs a bloody documentary on Netflix or something like that, it should be Forest. I mean, with that guy in charge, it's
people
just box
disappearing
office.
in the desert and stuff like that.
yeah, it's absolute box office. I would not be at all surprised if Nuno gets sacked in the next few days.
Yeah.
At all. I think it would be insane for football wise, given what he's done there. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of him. At all.
See that rogue shout from Abdul there at the bottom?
No, I can't believe you don't.
Funny that I picked that.
Oh, I can't believe you don't have Sarr. I was so disappointed.
Yeah, blame Thiago. I wish I did have him. Yeah, that could be a good shout. Sarr playing striker, midfielder, extra points. Villa's high line, as people say. I mean, it's a rogue,
2-0
rogue choice.
Prediction. Prediction you gave. Rob T disagrees with you. He thinks Villa are going to win that game. 1.5 projected goals compared to 1. And from Palace, he has Man U as the top scorers this week. 2.18. 48% chance of a clean sheet. Wow, that is high. Chelsea is second with 2 expected goals and 39% chance of a clean sheet too. And Forest, have you got double Forest defence? No,
just Murillo.
Just one. Yeah, I've got both. So I'm really hoping they can keep it. I think
just
West Ham
want
are the
a
lowest.
DEFCON. That's all I want.
I know Burnley the lowest, and then West Ham. So yeah, that's what Rob T's saying anyway. So he's saying Manchester United, basically Manchester United and Chelsea, which is kind of
well, he's not saying, is he? He's collected the data from. He's just presenting us the data.
Okay, that's a lot more long-winded version. Rob T is showing that this is what's coming from the spread market.
Yes.
Betting. There you go. And the other one I wanted to look at was just in terms of wins. So Man United have a 73% chance of winning according to the spread bet marking odds. Maybe that will drop tonight, given they're losing to Grimsby. Chelsea second. Spurs feature well on this, 56% against Bournemouth, who I think will cause some problems for them. Forest at 58%. So I mean, the biggest difference between this, I think, is that Villa Palace game with you going 2-0 Palace and that being very different to the odds from Pinnacle.
Got to throw a rogue one in there every week, I guess, just to mix it up, right? I said to you before when I'm doing the predictions, I'm just going to follow Rob T's data, but I thought, no, do you know what? I'll give Az a little treat.
You did say that, I know. I was like, it's typical you, isn't it? I'll
just play by the numbers and come game week 38. Hopefully, by the law of averages, I'll be top. But no, I've given that up already.
You just want the trophy, don't you?
That's it.
I know what it's like. Okay, let's take a look at your team then. You mentioned having Bruno captain. You mentioned your triple Spurs defence. You've got Palmer. Any transfers planned, or you rolling to 3?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to sit on my hands, to be honest, but I'm going to try and do it, I think. And we talked about DEFCONs and Anderson. Like, I'm not expecting anything from him against Chelsea, but my hope is he gets 4 points. And there's a few midfielders I think that you could bring in for Palmer and you'd be fairly confident that they go over 4 points. But a lot of them I don't. Like, Cunha's obviously a very popular one this week, isn't he? Maybe he certainly was before tonight.
Yeah, we haven't really spoken about him too much, and he seems to be flavour of the week. Lots of people talking about him, all the shots he's having and everything like that. But I'm not quite as...
No.
He's having loads of shots from like quite far out,
Well,
and what Sesko coming
style.
into the team gonna do to him might drop him back a bit.
I mean, it's home Burnley. I can see it. He could even be centre forward, and I think it's absolutely fine. I think like he's going to score points, but for me, it's the fixture afterwards. We play Man City afterwards and stuff, and it's a player I probably don't want long term. And if I do end up delaying wild cards and stuff, and Palmer's back next week, I'll suddenly look at my team the week after and think, well, that was a silly move. Especially if Cunha ends up blanking. So I think I'm just going to take another crap score on the chin this week. Hope Anderson gets me 4 points and beats everyone else's midfield pick they bring in for Palmer, which is probably a bad bet to make, but here we are. And then hopefully with all the information, I can make my charge late and rise up the league.
Or you'll be so far down by the time you start making
that's
it.
more likely going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Andy had his first red arrow from about 15 weeks, including last season this week. So at least that curse on us is lifted a bit.
I think game week 4, they're like Palace fixtures are great from there. Like probably want Minoz, like Sarr and people from game week 4. We've already talked about the information loads of times already, so I'm not going to go back over that. But I think there's just so much reason to wait if you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm borderline. Like we get to the press conferences and it's like, there's noise about Wirtz not playing, Palmer's out for 3 weeks, stuff like that. I'll change my mind.
Yep. Well, I'm the complete opposite to you. I'm going to be making 2 transfers this week, freshen things up a little bit. I've got Sells in goal. I've got Ait-Nouri, who I'm going to keep and hope he's back after the break. Bring Rodon in, the mighty Rodon at home to Newcastle. It's similar to your Anderson one, right? Like we're not expecting points from them, but if they can come away with 4 points by some miracle, then we'll just absolutely take that. Milinkovic and Porro. I've got Salah, Palmer, Wirtz, Jorginho, Reinders, Watkins and Pedro. And I am actually going to go for Mbeumo over Cunha. And I could even afford Fernandes. I've been impressed with Cunha on the eye, but when I look at the positions Mbeumo's taken up, he's the furthest one forward for Man U. He's taken some of their set pieces. We were talking about before we came on, and if for whatever reason Bruno does give up a penalty, because he's worried the referee's going to bump into him again, obviously Mbeumo's going to be the first one to be in line for that. I just think he just seems to have the most routes to points other than Bruno, and Cunha is an amazing player and will score, obviously. I'm not saying he won't, but I just like the fact Mbeumo's got the free kicks and is playing like almost as a striker. Again, when Sesko comes in, it could be completely different, right? The whole role of the team could completely change, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. But obviously I'm not going for Sesko. I talked about bringing him in last week. I wanted to see something from him. Is he starting tonight? Is he against?
He started tonight, yeah.
He started tonight. Yeah. Well, he's not doing much, is he? It's clearly. So
I just think apparently all reports are his fitness are way down, and he didn't look ready when he came on. So it seems a brave punt.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to do Palmer to Mbumo, and then I've got the money then to upgrade Jorginho, and I'm between Semenyo and Gibbs-White. And the reason I like Gibbs-White is because 3 of the next 4 fixtures are just absolutely ludicrous. Like we talked about, they've got West Ham at home, and then they've got 2 promoted teams. I know they've got the Arsenal away game in Gameweek 4, which isn't ideal, but if I'm not going for Wood, which I'm probably not going to because I've got Pedro and Watkins, and I think I've decided just to keep Watkins going forward, I want to tap into that Forest attack. Endoy looks good, but if I've got the money to go up to a Gibbs-White, why not pay the slight bit extra and get him? He's a funny player, Gibbs-White. He's a frustrating one.
Well, I was just going to say, why not go Anderson? I don't know why you wouldn't go Anderson.
No, I'm not going Anderson. I just have no interest in him at all. Gibbs-White's to me
is the DEFCONs are right there. Like I don't see the price difference between Gibbs-White and Anderson enough to say I'll have him. And then you've got money in the bank for moves later.
Gibbs-White is a more attacking player than
I'll give you that. But I think when he was on penalties, he was a better pick, and he doesn't take as many set pieces.
And this is a guy who's consistently getting sort of between 15 and 20 goal involvements a season, whereas Anderson gets like 7.
I think that's a bit high. I don't think he's got that all the time.
15, 17, yes. I think he's had between 15 and 17 the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I just feel like Anderson and pocket the change, and then look next week. But you do you, man. He's still a good pick, I'm sure. I mean, it's West Ham this week.
Well, Semenyo's the other one. I genuinely think Semenyo could have a breakthrough season this year. He frustrated in parts last year. Obviously, had loads of shots, but he's got more of the mantle right now, hasn't he? Because they've lost some key men. And he looks like he's stepping up.
Of all the players to buy this week, if you're looking for one like long term, Semenyo just screams as like, I keep talking about information and stuff. I don't think there's any information that we could get where Semenyo still wouldn't be a decent pick. Like it feels very surprising that anything could happen that made that he wouldn't be a good pick. And it's not just because he scored the points and his data's look good. He's a minutes monster. He takes lots of shots. The fixtures are great. I think there's a small chance while Kluivert's not there, or even if Kluivert comes off early, that maybe he even takes penalties over Evan Nielsen. I know we're probably not, but I think there's still a small chance. He just looks like, out of all the transfers you can make, he's one that you're hard to find fault with.
Yep. Well, my captain could be anyone. I mean, I'm between Salah and then Mbumo. I'm probably definitely going to bring in Mbumo. I quite like the idea of having against City and Chelsea as well, like playing on the counter attack a little bit more. I think he suits those games maybe a bit more than Fernandes and Cunha. Do I want to trust him with the captaincy? I'm not too sure. Would I give it to Gibbs-White for that home game if I bought it in? I might just give it to Salah again. You can't really go wrong, can you?
No, you can't.
In that,
you can't really go wrong. I mean, I haven't looked at the expected data, but I imagine Salah's right up there because he's never not.
He's not. He's nowhere near. He's rubbish on the expected data.
Well,
you mean in terms of projected points?
Yeah. So I've got it right here. He's third. So you got Bruno on review anyway. He's 5.6, which is third out of all players. So he's never going to be a bad option, is he?
Yeah. Review, by the way, is desperate for me to triple up on Forest defence this week. That's their suggestion across the board. I think it's sell Palmer for Fernandes and bring in Murillo in defence.
Yeah.
I can't handle, but I can't be like you with your triple Spurs. I can't handle triple anyone. Bloody double was bad enough.
2 out of 2 clean sheets. I just didn't play him the second week, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. You've got so unlucky with that. Cool. That is pretty much it from us today. We did have a super chat from Sonny early in the stream. Thank you very much for that. Would you take that now? I have 8 Nori, Palmer and Saka with 1 free transfer. Oh, God. Should I free hit and hope for the best after the international break? Generally, what should people do with 4+ injuries? So Nightmare and I will be talking free hits and wild cards on the late tackle. We're going to be looking at some drafts for those. I know there's a few people thinking of playing those. So tune in for that one. What do you think about free hitting? Like, you've got these injuries. I mean, all 3 of these players could be back after the break.
I just think absolutely not because, well, first of all, we don't know what his bench is, right? So it's quite hard to answer this without knowing who would come in, if they don't play. But I think in the free hit situation now, at least with the information we got, there's no guarantee that Ran, Palmer or Saka are back. Saka looks like he's probably out. Palmer could be, and Ran maybe 1 or 2 weeks. So the free hit doesn't really solve that. I know we've got the international break, there's a chance, but we already talked about it, like with injuries, first game back. Like there's no guarantee they start just because they're even fit. So you'll be in the same situation where you've suddenly got 1 free transfer again, maybe, or close. Yeah, you will do, won't you? And then you'll have injuries to solve. So I don't think that works. I think if your bench is at least passable, he's got players who can get DEFCONs, even Steve, you just maybe remove Saka. I think that's what I'd do and just roll with it. It's 1 week and then reassess.
Yeah, I mean, the fact we're playing like Rodons and Andersons and players like that. I also wouldn't be too worried about taking a hit. Like if you want to get rid of Palmer and Saka and go for 2 premium assets, you want to go for a Fernandes captain, for example, and you want to bring in, again, maybe not a premium because there isn't too many left, but if you wanted to bring in a Semenyo or someone like that, then I don't think it's a terrible idea to take the hit.
I would say I'd be more inclined to wildcard than free hit, just because I don't think there's a very, very obvious strategy when it's first half of the season with no doubles and stuff. And is the wildcard that valuable that it will be useful later compared to now? You might not be in a situation where you get as bad a luck. So out of the chips, I'd consider that over a free hit personally. But I think you can just make the one move if the bench is okay.
Yep, agreed. Great stuff, Luke. Absolute pleasure to have you on. I think the next Black Box after the international break is going to be you and Andy, because I will be mid-move. So Andy will be hosting that and you'll be joining him. I'll do all the tables and stuff for you, but I'll be listening to that.
I was going to call you something.
Oh, great. What was it?
No, I can't say. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know what I can say on these streams, so I'll just keep quiet.
You're going to lose us our ad revenue if you swear too much, get demonetised. Typical. So, yeah, you can enjoy that. And then it'll be Andy and I doing the Match of the Day challenge on the Saturday. His lovely partner has agreed to take his phone off him and do all the necessary things to make sure he doesn't watch the scores. Yells will be vlogging. She'll be looking at the scores and trying to keep a straight face. It can't be any worse for the last year when she had to put up with Haaland's hat-trick when she didn't have him. An island captain, so yeah, absolutely savage. So looking forward to that. It's Nightmare and I on Friday, so tune into that. It'll be 8 o'clock on Friday. Luke, good luck this week, and I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, mate. Same to you, but obviously I don't mean it, and I hope I do much better than you.
That's the spirit. See you soon.
See you soon.